Most guys think dating app success is about getting more matches or more dates. I thought the same way until I started tracking my results and doing the math. Back in college, when I first started using dating apps, I got 20 matches in 2 months and I couldn't get a single date. After college, I optimized my entire dating profile. I overhauled my entire look. I lost weight, got rid of my glasses, started caring about what I was wearing. I even moved apartments closer to downtown, doubling my work commute, just to be closer to the action. And I ended up going out with 30 women in 2 months. Most guys would call that a win. But honestly, most of the dates felt like a waste of time and money. And for the dates that did go well, I wasn't sure why. So I tracked every single detail on a spreadsheet. I recorded actionable variables, things like platform, date costs, logistics, factors I could actually control. I also tracked outcome metrics. Did I close on a first date? Was there a second date? The things I wanted to optimize. This isn't a controlled experiment. It's just the first 30 days I went on, the data I collected, and what I found when I actually looked at it. So in this video, I'll walk you through the 4 insights I gathered from my analysis, how they changed my approach to dating, and how you can apply them to your dating life today. To start off with some context, this data is from a few years ago when I first started getting results on dating apps. The data covers the first 30 women I actually met, not including any flakes or matches that didn't work out. I used Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, with a premium subscription for each. I wasn't looking for anything in particular at that time. I just wanted more experience with dates and dating women. First, here are some high-level distributions. 5 of the dates were from Tinder, 6 from Bumble, and the rest from Hinge. And as you can see, more than half are from Hinge. This is because as a minority dating in the US, Hinge was the best app at that time with accessible ethnicity filters. Most of my dates started at a bar or a restaurant, and most of them cost between $50 to $100. In fact, only one date cost over $100. Out of the 30 first dates I went on, 20% I closed on the first date, 30% by the second date, and I considered 37% of the dates as having relationship potential, which just means I thought I could get along with my date in a more long-term context. But it doesn't necessarily mean I kept going on dates with them. But you must be wondering, does relationship potential correlate with whether I close or not? And yes, it does. There were 11 dates with relationship potential and 19 without. More than half the ones with relationship potential, I closed by the second date, while the dates with no relationship potential, I only closed 3. So there certainly is correlation here. But remember, correlation does not mean causation. Assuming high interest results in better success metrics, high interest should positively impact relationship potential and the close by second date rate, which results in them correlating, making them seem like maybe one causes the other. But the driving factor here is high interest, not the 2 correlating factors. Now let's take a look at the progression of the first dates. About half of them I kissed on the first date, most of these either being near the end of the date or once they came back to my place. As a result, kissing her on the first date and her coming over have a high correlation. Once they do come over, I close in about 50% of those instances on the first date. What may not be immediately obvious here is that in order for you to close on the first date, she needs to come over on the first date. As you can see on the diagram, there is no scenario where you close on a first date and she does not come over. So if your goal on a date is to close, you need to work on increasing her chances of coming over. And one of the ways you can do that is by setting up better logistics. Because if she doesn't come over, you can't close. Out of the 30 first dates I went on, I closed 6 of them on the first date, half of which converted to second dates. Most of the second dates actually originated from non-first date closes, which gives us a total of 11 second dates and a 37% second date rate. In most cases, there was no second date, and the reasons vary. Either they don't want to, I don't want to, or it was just mutual ghosting. Now with the more simple analysis out of the way, let's get down to the insights. The first one involves whether she messaged you first or not, which is more important than guys think. We all know that even average girls can get hundreds or thousands of likes on dating apps. Even just matching with her is a big deal. So if she messages you first, that's a proxy for interest. Not necessarily high interest, but higher than if she didn't. In my case, 40% of my dates messaged me first, which comes out to 12 out of 30. Initially, when I looked at the success rates, it didn't seem to make sense. If she messages first, she clearly should have higher interest, but that is only reflected in relationship potential and not the other outcomes. So I took a look at the platform distribution of her messaging me first. For Tinder, none of my dates messaged me first. For Bumble, all of them did, which makes sense due to the mechanics of the app, while Hinge is mixed. Well, it turns out, half of all the first date closes were associated with Tinder dates, which all did not match me first. My interpretation of this is that because Tinder is the most popular app, it's also the most saturated for women, meaning that even if they were interested, they're unlikely to message first because they're overwhelmed by the sheer volume. This skews the data to make her messaging me first seem like it doesn't really matter for a first date close. However, if we exclude all the Tinder data and only look at the other apps, it is clear that for the other apps, messaging first significantly increases the chances of desired outcomes. Most notably, it is 3 times more likely for a first date close if she messages you first versus not on the other apps. So the first insight here is that early female initiative is the strongest observable proxy for interest, which is most effectively identified through inbound outreach, her messaging you first. But what about whether I pick her up or not? That is the other metric we'll be taking a look at. We discussed earlier that her coming over is crucial for a first date close. So the question is, does picking her up increases the chances of her coming over? Out of the 30 total dates I had, I offered to pick up 27. I normally always offer, but in those 3 cases where I didn't, the location of the date was close to where the girls lived, so it just didn't make sense to offer. 20 of the 27 accepted my offer. It turns out that if they accepted my offer to pick them up, they are way more likely to end up coming over. First date close is way more likely, and relationship potential is also way more likely. This is likely due to her accepting your offer to pick her up as a sign of higher comfort and interest. To illustrate, here's the breakdown of the girls that messaged me first versus not. If we assume her messaging first means higher interest, then it is clear here that if she has higher interest, I am more likely to pick her up. This means it's not just the fact that you picked her up that improves your outcomes, but her higher interest that also improves the chances of the desired outcomes. Of course, these aren't the only reasons. This is likely due to multiple reasons, such as allowing you to break the ice initially by sharing intimate space in the car, allowing you to demonstrate early leadership by taking charge in logistics and where the date is going. Logistically, it's also easier for you both to go back to your place if you're taking the same car. It would be a bit awkward if you have to take separate cars to get back to your place. So the second insight here is that physical outcomes are logistically constrained, not entirely persuasion driven. Her allowing you to pick her up predicts escalation success, as she is more likely to come over, which gives you a chance to close. Now let's take a look at the type of date, whether it's a drink date or a dinner date, and how that affected my outcomes. Most of my dates were either drink dates or dinner dates, with only 5 of them being neither. The neithers were generally her coming straight to my place. If we take a look at which dates I closed on, it was quite surprising to see that none of my dinner dates converted to a first date close. Even when considering second date closes, dinner dates underperformed significantly. But what about the other success metrics? It seems like relationship potential is pretty even between drink and dinner dates, while drink dates are less likely to result in a second date. So why were drink dates so much better than a dinner date when it comes to a first date close? There are 2 main reasons. The first being the effects of alcohol. Now, I'm not saying I was getting my dates drunk. As a matter of fact, we never even went past 2 drinks. But we do know alcohol lowers inhibition. So that means these dates may be more likely to result in more physical outcomes as a result. To isolate the effects of alcohol, we'll only look at the dinner dates. Dinner dates with drinks and dinner dates without drinks. Since there are no first date closes on dinner dates, we'll use first date kiss as a success metric to compare. And this shows that dinner dates with drinks have a significantly higher kiss rate. The same goes for whether she comes over on the first date as well. The other reason is selection bias, of which consists of 3 factors in this case: her interest level, how I perceive her attractiveness, and lifestyle correlation. First off, her interest level determines which dates actually end up happening. The theory is that high interest women will accept either drink dates or dinner dates. Since drink dates are my default option, as they are cheaper, most of my drink dates will be with higher interest women. However, if her interest level is low, the assumption is that these dates won't end up happening, as these women will reject the date for being low effort. This means that any dinner dates that do happen are more likely to be with lower interest women. The other factor to consider is how attractive she is to me. If I perceive her as more attractive, I may be more inclined to offer a higher effort dinner date to avoid her rejecting it due to it being perceived as low effort. Whereas for less attractive women, I'll take the risk and stick with the default drink date option. The rationale here is that more attractive women may have higher expectations and may be lower interest, contributing to poorer results on dinner dates. Finally, we also consider lifestyle correlation. For some of the dates, I initially offered drinks, but had to pivot to dinner dates as the women said they did not drink. This occurred in 7 out of the 15 dinner dates. And we know by now that dinner dates had a 0% first date close rate. So there likely is a correlation between non-drinkers and women that are less promiscuous. So summarizing the insights from each of the 3 factors, higher interest women will accept drink dates, while lower ones may only accept dinner dates. Dinner dates are offered to more attractive women that may be lower interest and thus harder to close. Finally, non-drinkers that end up on dinner dates may be more sexually conservative. So the takeaway here is that drink dates are better than dinner dates in terms of close rates, because dinner dates are more likely to be with lower interest women or non-drinkers who may be less promiscuous. The third insight here is that dinner dates underperform on close rate because they systematically filter for lower interest women and correlate with more conservative women. And drink dates are better for those looking to close and not spend a fortune on dates. Finally, we'll answer the question: does your effort on a date result in better outcomes? The two variables that I track that can be associated with effort are date cost and date logistics. Starting with date cost, let's see if more expensive dates result in better outcomes. As we can see here, low-cost dates are better for first date closes than moderate-cost dates, while relationship potential is about the same between low and moderate-cost dates, but higher compared to very low-cost. I didn't go on many expensive dates, as you can see here, so the sample size is negligible. There's a theory that if you spend $200 or $300 on a date that you're guaranteed to close, but I won't be volunteering to test that one out. We'll let someone else take over the team. But date cost is really not the driving factor between the outcomes. Date cost is a reflection of the type of dates that we went on, which in this case is dinner dates versus drink dates primarily. Drink dates tend to be in a low-cost category, and dinner dates tend to be in a moderate-cost category. As we saw previously, the type of girls I have drink dates with and dinner dates with are fundamentally different. So it's date choice rather than cost that drives these outcomes. Now, what about date logistics? Many dating coaches have said that it's best practice to go on multiple locations on a date so you have more opportunities to build up comfort and familiarity with a girl. So let's see if that made a difference for me. Most of my dates were more than one location. The 0 location ones just came straight to my place. So let's see how this affected the probability of the desired outcomes. Since we are testing if more venue changes is better, I excluded the 0 location dates. We'll compare whether one location or more than one location is meaningfully better for results compared to overall. It seems that one location dates are more likely to result in a first date close, and more than one location dates correlate with relationship potential and getting a second date. Also interesting here is that one location dates have a 0% second date rate, and I'll explain why. Generally, after the first location, you get a sense of whether the girl is DTF or not. Sometimes she even tells you beforehand. So honestly, the first location is always just a vibe check or an icebreaker. If she is DTF, after the first location, you can go straight back to your place. If she is not DTF, then we can assess the vibe. If the vibe is bad, which can be decided by either one of you, then the date ends and there's no second date. If the vibe is good and the date continues, then it will end up being more than one location. This is why one location dates can have a high close rate but a low second date rate, because the outcomes of these dates are binary. Either it's meant to be a one-night stand, or you just don't vibe and you never see her again. Dates with more than one location are more ambiguous and have open-ended outcomes. But generally, if the vibe is good, there will be a second date and relationship potential, which is reflected in the table. This shows that more locations does not result in better outcomes. It is compatibility that drives the better outcomes, not the fact that you went to more locations. So why do dating coaches always recommend it? It's probably because they see a correlation. And I'll repeat this again, correlation does not mean causation. So should you hit multiple spots on a date? Well, if your goal is to close, then you really don't need to. And if your goal is something more long-term, then you should if you want to, right? There's no reason why not if you feel a vibe with a girl. I'll give a warning here though, because sometimes you may feel like there's a vibe, but the girl may just be going along with it. Other date tips I often see online include taking her out for dessert or doing an activity such as mini golf or bowling, which can help the date be more engaging and less conversation focused. So let's see how those variables fared for me. Since we are assessing whether the specific choice of doing an activity or dessert makes a difference, the baseline here will be more than one location dates. Activities seem to be correlated with better outcomes for all the main metrics, while desserts seem to be correlated with relationship potential and second date, but not first date close. But once again, I'm suspecting these correlations are due to inherent compatibility because anecdotally, I'm more likely to take girls that I have a good vibe with to do an activity or to get dessert, versus with a more standard neutral girl, I may just do a standard dinner and drinks. So to synthesize these insights and others from earlier, I created a new variable that I'm going to call effort level, which aggregates the variables from date cost and date logistics into one. And a correlation of this effort level variable with the success metrics suggests that effort is negatively correlated with physical outcomes and positively correlated with relationship potential and second dates. So the fourth insight here is that effort has an inverse relationship with physical outcomes, and where it does correlate with relationships, it is as a byproduct of compatibility rather than a driver of desired outcomes. So how can you apply these insights? There are only 3 things I would broadly recommend that apply to both casual and long-term dating. First, prioritize girls that message you first. If you can't even get matches in the first place, then that's a separate issue. This strategy is more about optimization, which there's no point of doing unless you have some level of volume. Next, only offer drink dates. If she needs a dinner date to meet with you, then it's probably not going to end well. Not that dinner dates hurt, But if you care about cost or efficiency, dinner dates are not a good move. For non-drinkers, you can offer dinner dates at your discretion, but remember, these women may be more sexually conservative. Finally, offer to pick her up and prioritize girls that accept your offer. You should also avoid picking a day spot that's close to her place, so you actually have a reason to pick her up. If you're looking for a relationship, this all still applies. Remember, effort should be a byproduct of relationship compatibility, not a requirement for it. Unless her requirement for a relationship is a guy that puts in a lot of effort, which in that case, that's probably not a relationship you want to be in. If you're looking for more casual, prioritize Tinder. As you can see, Tinder dates correlate positively with physical outcomes. If you're a minority or want to look for specific minorities to date, prioritize Hinge or other apps that have effective ethnicity filters. If you want to hear more about my thoughts on the different dating apps, I made a video reviewing them. You can check that out right here. Now let's take a look at how my 30 dates would have went if I applied this strategy. Here's the base case for reference. Next, I calculated what the outcome success rates would be if I only went on dates with girls that messaged me first and that I picked up. Since not everyone drinks, there's another row with the drink step separate. As you can see here, this strategy would have significantly increased my outcome success rates. We can also take a look at cost per close, or CPN as some like to call it. In a base case with all 30 dates, the CPC is almost $300. However, after applying all 3 steps, the CPC is almost half of the base at $145. But if we're seriously considering cost per close, let's exclude all the easy closes, meaning all the ones where the girls basically offer to hook up. That way we can isolate the dates where cost actually mattered. Now with the base case, the CPC is almost $400. The CPC for the second row without the drink date step is also pretty high, because remember, these dates are largely comprised of dinner dates, which we know now were more expensive and hard for close rates. So it's clear here that to optimize for close rates, you need to apply all 3 steps. Screen for girls that message you first, allow you to pick them up, and accept drink dates. But is drink dates the driving factor here? Let's convert the second row to drink dates only, excluding the easy closes. We see that drink dates by themselves aren't enough for optimal results. All 3 steps still yield a better CPC. So far, we've only looked at close outcomes, but what about for long term? For that, we are going to use COA, cost of acquisition, and instead of the raw number of dates, we'll use the number of unique girls that I dated, so we can calculate the number of girls that could have been potential relationships. With this, the drink date add-on step is only marginally better. And for this strategy to make sense, you need to be able to get a lot of dates. To show you what I mean, I calculated roughly what I needed to even get these 30 dates. Back in 2023, I remember calculating that it took about 20 to 30 chats to get a single date. So to get 30 dates, I needed 600 to 900 chats, which needed 1,000 to 2,000 matches to get. And that in turn required thousands of likes, mostly sent by me. As you can see in the base case here, I went on 41 dates, 34 if you ignore the easy closes. And by applying the strategy, I only have to go on 6 of those dates to get the most efficient results. But the issue here is that in order to go on these more efficient dates, you still need to be able to get all these other dates and filter them out. So if you're someone that can barely get 30 matches, much less 30 dates, then this strategy would do nothing for you. You need to put more effort into getting more dates first, which requires you to improve your value. But honestly, you don't need that much. I wasn't that attractive when I was going on these dates. Sure, I optimized my profile. These were the pictures I used, but I look like this in real life. So honestly, I was catfishing these girls and I was still able to get these results. It comes down to optimizing your looks, your profile, and then putting in the effort. If you want a brief overview of what I did to improve my dating app results, here's that video linked right here. I also collected this data back in 2023 and I wasn't planning on making a video on this, so I left out many factors that may be interesting to track, such as the match to date pipeline, the interactions we had on a date, or how responsive she was in chat, which may be interesting to consider in future analyses. My results here are also heavily dependent on the type of girls I go for and how I'm perceived to the girl in person and over messages. So even if you follow the same strategy, your results will differ depending on your preferences and behavior. If you're confused about your specific situation and don't know the optimal move forward, I'll put a link in the description where you can leave me questions and I may address them in a future video. So if you found this video interesting, leave a like and comment below what variables you think I should track. And I'll see you all in the next one.